There is a person who totally loves watermelon. Like they love the juicy and sweet taste that they get when they eat a watermelon and the way the watermelon feels in their mouth. Right? They almost feel the joy in their entire body after eating one. And every time this person wants to eat a watermelon, he picks up his favorite hammer and a watermelon and starts breaking open the watermelon and then eats it. And he loves it, and that is perfect, right? That's his life. At the same time, he sees that he's creating a mess while cutting the watermelon with his hammer all around him, and it leaves him frustrated and exhausted because it takes a lot of energy and hard work to cut open a watermelon and then eat it with a hammer. Also, he gets to eat very little of the entire watermelon, and most of it is wasted by the hammering. And he loves watermelon so much that he wants to eat more, not less, of watermelons. So he wants to not just eat himself. He wants to serve watermelons to his family, to his team. Right? He's a very nice person, and he wants to share what he loves with the people around him. So what he does is he looks for a bigger and better hammer, and then he uses those new hammers to break open the watermelon, to eat more of it and also to serve more of it. But to no avail, he still sees that he's causing a lot of wastage. He's improving marginally, he's trying new strategies, he's trying new techniques of how to best use the hammer to break open and eat and then serve the watermelon. But there are only marginal improvements here and there. And he's probably one of the best in the world in using a hammer to eat watermelons. But there is still a lot of wastage of time, effort, energy, and of course the watermelon itself. And the cost of it is that everybody around him is left starving. He invites people, he reaches out to people to share the watermelon, but everybody is left starving, and he is left tired and exhausted and unhappy at the end of the day. And he is constantly asking his friends to lend them their hammers, asking his friends for new strategies or how he can improve. But again, no help, right? It's like he feels like he's trapped in a vicious cycle. And one day somebody was passing by, seeing him struggle and making a mess out of a watermelon. And that person stopped, and they were looking at him trying to use his hammer. And they stopped for a while, and then they asked him, "Can you see that knife lying beside you?" And this person who loved watermelon said yes. So the passerby said, "Why don't you use that knife to cut your watermelons?" And he replied, "Are you foolish? Who does that? Everyone I know, my friends, my family, everybody uses a hammer. Why would anybody use a knife to cut a watermelon?" He asked the passerby that, "Are you out of your mind?" Well, the passerby replied that, "Well, you can simply try it. It's lying beside you. If it doesn't work, you can come back to using your hammer. What do you have to lose?" Okay, so this man said, "Okay, let me try it." He picks up the knife and says, "This will not work. I will show you. This is crazy. I'm not even sure why I am believing you and using this knife now to try to cut the watermelon. This is the most absurd idea I've heard. But let me show you that this doesn't work. Let me prove it to you." And he tried it, and it worked perfectly. He couldn't believe it, that the watermelon got cut without causing any mess or damage, and in maybe less than half the time that he used to do it with a hammer. And he find it very hard to believe. He even accused the passerby, "This is a fluke. What did you do? I think I got lucky. Or are you trying to play a trick with me here? Did you do something to the watermelon? Did you do something to the knife here? Because this is not possible, right? This was lying just beside me. How can this be possible?" And the passerby basically said that it just happened right in front of you. You can try again if you want with a new knife or a new watermelon. But believe it or not, it just happened, right? It makes no difference whether you believe it or not. You have a knife now. You can either use it, or you can think that I played a trick on you. Anyways, it's your choice. But what happened after that person's, the protagonist's life never looked the same again. So if you have not already guessed, the reason that I am sharing with you is that maybe you are that person using a hammer to cut the watermelons in your life and work. Maybe you are a leader trying to get work done out of your team, out of your organization, using whatever you think is the best tool you have, and the only tool that you have, that only tool that you know how to use. But maybe if you're using a hammer, and what if there is a knife? What if there is something else which could make it so much easier to get work done? So maybe that is you. And I can tell you, I can provoke you by asking this question, because that was me for a whole lot of my life as well. And that's not easy. That's not easy to recognize that you are the one causing all the mess around you, in your relationships, in your work, in your lack of results, lack of joy, lack of satisfaction, and keeping yourself unnecessarily busy, trying very hard without having huge results to show for. So what if there is an easier way? What if you have a knife lying just beside you that you can use to do whatever that you're doing with much less effort, time, and energy? What if all the effort and struggle that you have been putting in trying to do what you're doing is not necessary? And nothing wrong with all the effort or hard work that you have been putting, or hard work or effort in general, right? So there's nothing wrong about that, and you can still use your hammer whenever you want to. But what if there is a better way? I mean, that's a question which needs to be asked, and that you need to ask yourself, right? That is a question you need to ask yourself. There's nothing wrong in hard work or hustling or doing a lot of work that you have been doing. But what if there is a simpler, what if there is a faster, what if there is an easier way to get the same job done more efficiently? See, the point is, until you ask yourself this question, you will close down a whole lot of possibilities, and there might be nothing there for you. You might already be using the best knife possible. But if you don't ask that question, you are closing a whole world of possibilities, which might make whatever that you're trying to create as an impact in the world, for your teams, for your organization, a lot more easier, simpler, and faster. And would you be open to that? Just like the person who was using the hammer found it very difficult to be open to a suggestion of a knife, because that means that at some level that you are being proven wrong. Would you be open to that? Would you be open to that possibility, that there is a better way? Maybe there is a knife lying just beside you, and what you are doing right now is the equivalent, or a perfect metaphorical equivalent, of using a hammer to cut a watermelon. So this is some food for thought for you. And if you want to make a big difference in the world, if you have taken on a big responsibility of a team or a company, if you have a commitment that inspires you, you would be open to a conversation around this, reach out to me. It might sting. The conversation might sting, just like realizing that you have a knife beside you. So it might hurt in the short term, but the benefits of it will outweigh that 100 times, thousands of times in the long run of your life. Your life might never look the same again once you realize that you're using a hammer and there is a knife which is ignored and which is lying just beside you that you can use. Thank you for listening, and until the next time, keep choosing leadership, keep deploying yourself.